where I belong, surrounded in a peace so strong it flows in and out of me. All that I am, all that I need is right here inside, guiding me. Together we rise, as bright as the sun, as God's living grace. We are one. Here we stand, with all the light of God we hold. We watch the miracles unfold, the great divine mystery. This holy moment is the door. No matter how we felt before, we're free. We choose our destiny. All that I am, all that I need is right here inside, guiding me. Together we rise, as bright as the sun, as God's living grace. We are one. Together we rise. We are one, as bright as the sun. We are one, as God's living grace. We are Here I am, with all the love of God inside. I fully see it in your eyes right now, looking back at me. This is the place where I belong, surrounded in a peace so strong it flows in and out of me. All that I am, all that I need is right here inside, guiding me. Together we rise, as bright as the sun, as God's living grace. We are one. Here we stand, with all the light of God we hold. We watch the miracles unfold, the great divine mystery. This holy moment is the door. No matter how we felt before, we're free. We choose our destiny. This holy moment is the door. No matter how we felt before, we're free. We choose our destiny. All that I am, all that I need is right here inside, guiding me. Together we rise, as bright as the sun, as God's living grace. We are one. Together we rise. We are one, as bright as the sun. We are one, as God's living grace. We are
All right, our first song today will be I Start My Day. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of is love. When I start my day with love, when I start my day with love, that's what I get more of is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace, start my day with peace. I feel that sweet release of peace. When I start my day with peace, when I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. I start my day with joy, when I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. When I start my day with joy, when I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, everything I do is infused with love. All right, today's second song will be, there it is, Joy in Our Hearts. Peace for all seasons, love every moment, light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Peace for all seasons, love every moment, light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, love in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Joy, joy in our hearts. Joy, joy in our hearts.
Well, good morning, everyone. Let's see. Happy Memorial Day weekend. That's it. I guess everybody's missing the race right now. That's all right. You're here, and we're glad that you're here. Everybody that's online, I'm glad that you are online with us today. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube and on our website, so that is helping a lot of folks out. So thank you very much for being here. And if you came in today and you're in the room, especially glad to see your faces, because it's hard to talk to no faces, and I'm glad when there's lots of faces around to set the mood. We are we are going to start off today, like we do most Sundays, with a declaration of community purpose, vision, and mission statements, which I may have something to say about later on in the hour. But if you will, right now, just repeat with me these words. We are Center for Spiritual Living, a creative spiritual community with a vision of a world that works for everyone. Our mission is to embody and teach spiritual principles. We are radically inclusive and spiritually progressive, and yes, lives are transformed. We celebrate the truth and know there is only one life. It is the perfect life of spirit, and it is our life now. Andy, will you set a tone, please? We know here at CSL that it is an opportunity every time we change directions, we change functions, we switch up what it is we're doing and look at something else. That is a time of transition. It is a threshold into something else, and it is always a great time to pray. Sometimes simply a prayer of gratitude, thank you, thank you. Sometimes just a yes. To let the subconscious and the body know that we're going to do something different now. We're going to do something different now, and so if you will, pray with me, knowing that, very simply, God is. Whatever your image of God is, God is. Whatever you've been told about God, whatever you can believe or not believe, God simply is. God is and is all that there is. And all that there is includes you, it includes me, it includes every living being on this planet. God is. God is all of them. And all the planets, and all the stars, and all the space, empty and full in between. Simply put, God is, and God is all that there is. This is our basic, fundamental belief. God is. And you and I are one with God. That is our truth. It could be no other way. Created in the image and likeness, we are that which is spirit, which is divine, which is, in fact, that thing we call the consciousness of the Christ, the consciousness of that which was created first. So knowing that we have that opportunity to be conscious of who we are and what we are as manifestations here on this planet in a physical sense, we know what is right and wrong in our existence. For we are in touch with who we are in truth. Who I am as that divine being knows who you are as that divine being. And as you know, what you are is a manifestation of that divine spirit in form. You cannot but know the same for every human being on this planet. All of us individualized expressions, all of us unified in the likeness, in the oneness, and all of us spreading the diversity that God is. So knowing the truth of who we are and what we are, we know the truth of how we serve. And that is by being in alignment with that divine self as we express our individuality, expressing as God through us. Knowing that this is so, knowing that we cannot go wrong, knowing that there is no way to fail, we do this together with joy and in love. And knowing it is so, we allow it to be. And so it is. All right, today we have a reading by Christian. I understand it is not so much a reading, but more like a testimony. that has some relevance to the holidays and to this theme that we've had all month, this idea of, I know what our theme is, I swear I do. I'll think of it here in a minute. It's written right here. Divine doubt. And I guess the reason it threw me was the reason it threw a lot of people was we don't think of divine doubt. We don't think of doubt as being a divine gift. But that's what we've been learning all month. So without further, Christian, would you like to share?
Good morning, everyone, and happy Memorial Day to all those who served. And before we get into it, I just want to thank everyone for showing up, whether online, in person, or or not. So I want to start with this morning with something pretty personal. So earlier this year, I hit a wall. As most of you know, I am the IT director here. I'm also in school for IT, doing cybersecurity. And I hit a wall. I got overwhelmed. It was shocking, to say the least. Because, see, my world is technology. I live it, I breathe it. The first thing that I do in the morning is look to see what's going on in the world of tech. And that's what got me down. With the explosion of artificial intelligence and how it changes on a daily basis, how a new model comes out every day, it was hard to keep up with. I tried, but I just couldn't do it. And in my field, especially cybersecurity, you have to keep up with the latest thing. You have to make sure that you know what's going on, because if you can't, people can lose a lot of money. People can lose a lot of things. A lot of information can be handed to a ne'er-do-well or an adversary, or however you want to call them. So I got overwhelmed and I stopped. And that was my first mistake. Because once I stopped, I lost track of everything. But not only after I stopped though, once I went back going, I'm like, okay, all I could, instead of being scared of it, let's embrace it. Let's make another system. Let's put together some technology that will help me stay on task. And I remember getting up one morning, and before I go out to, in the world, I sit down and I pray. And usually, I hear something. I let the universe let me know what I should do in the day. And this morning I heard nothing. I heard absolutely nothing. And not because there was anything wrong, it was just that I have filled up the quiet space to hear what I was supposed to hear with all these systems and all this technology. I thought it was a productivity problem, but what it truly was a soul problem. But, I didn't figure it out on my own. It took a lot of being honest and getting humble. But mostly the problem was that when I stopped and I restarted, I tried to make sure that I tried to make it seem like everything was okay. Anyone asked me what was going on, I would say, oh yeah, I hit a little speed bump, but I'm on track now. I'm good. I'll make it through the semester, and everything's going to be fine. And that's where I really went wrong. And actually, that's exactly what today's theme is about. Can you help me with that, Reverend D?
About what today's theme is about?
Yes. Well, today's theme is divine doubt and humility we serve. You know, and mostly because of divine trespass, or I'm sorry, no. What is the term?
Oh, I know what you're probably thinking. You are
Yes.
probably thinking spiritual bypassing.
Spiritual bypass.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say if this was exactly a spiritual bypass. Obviously, you were in some sort of denial, and instead of trusting your heart and then trusting the people around you, you listened to some other voice, I'm sure. And that voice that said it's better to keep face, it's better to fake it, it's better to look the part if you can't be the part. And I'm guessing in the end that did not work out well for you.
No, it didn't. And spiritual bypass, from what you told me, can be a sneaky thing because it doesn't feel like avoidance. I didn't feel like I was avoiding anything. I felt like I had fixed everything by creating systems to make sure that everything was going right. But just because you create the systems doesn't mean that spiritually you're whole. Somewhere underneath all that motion, I was running from a question that I did not answer yet, and that was the bypass. It's the reason we are talking about it this morning, because it is one of the most common things in what we see as conscious, well-meaning, spiritually aware people. To give you a little bit of insight on what I was dealing with, AI in plain terms is basically, at its simplest, artificial intelligence is a system that learned from an enormous amount of human-created content and got very good at recognizing patterns. It can write, summarize, suggest, generate, predict. It all does that extremely well. But what it cannot do is know what matters to you. It cannot feel how you feel. It cannot originate a thought or already present something that has not been taught yet. It's working entirely with everything that already exists. And when I look back at where I was at the beginning of this year, that's exactly what I was doing. I was not going inward. I was scanning everything around me, and I was trying to find the answer that was already out there somewhere. Somebody else's workflow, somebody else's solution, somebody else's clarity. I was not trusting my own discernment. I was outsourcing it. And with spiritual bypass, Reverend D, isn't that the same thing?
It can be. Like you say, spiritual bypass is a tricky one because, we also have in certain circles that idea of faking it until you make it, that idea that I can fake being a spiritual person enough that I can trick my subconscious mind into believing that it's true already. And to a certain extent that works because we know the subconscious mind simply takes what the conscious mind gives it, and it looks for patterns too, and it believes what it is told. But what we know is that that little self, the small self, does exactly what you're talking about. It only knows what it has experienced. It only knows the past. It has no creative means. It has no reality in God itself that would allow it to live and to thrive on its own, to create its own world. So it creates a world that looks a lot like yesterday, because that's all it knows, over and over and over again. And if you want to freak out the little self, all you have to do is change into something, that has never been done before, and it will immediately resist because it's dead in those waters.
And see, that's what I'm trying to do, right? I used to be a photographer. I was a photographer for many, many years, and once COVID happened, I was done for. I had no more customers. I had no more money because I had to pay all the customers back. So, and it was so depressing and so gut-wrenching for me. I just didn't want to go and do that to my passion anymore. So I started thinking, let's try something new. Let's try something that's difficult. Let's try something that is something that is helpful for the world and also digs into another passion that I have, and that's technology. And my little self was basically telling me, stick with the pocket that you know. Why are you trying to push yourself into something else when you're comfortable here? And Lord knows I like to be comfortable, and specifically last semester, it was the most difficult semester that I've ever had in my life. I'm used to making good grades. I'm used to, skating through school, and this is not that, and with that, I let the little self take over. And what I had to realize is that, I can make anything happen, but until I deal with my soul and deal with what happens to my soul when I start digging deeper than my little self, and when I start going into what's going on with me, the little self goes away, right?
Well, the little self never goes away. The little self is part of you, and it is also where God is. God is right there also. So what we want is a different relationship with that small self or the ego self. What we're looking for usually is to let it take direction from the higher self rather than the higher self taking direction from the smaller self. Easier said than done. Very much so.
And I'm still working at it. I've calmed down the noise. I've started listening to myself, my inner self, more often, and because everything can't be automated. I can't just rely on technology to do everything. And I'm not saying that technology is bad by no means, but we have to be one with ourselves and use tools as they are supposed to be used, as tools. We can't let AI take over, because it'll just be the same thing. It'll be like Groundhog's Day, because AI only regurgitates what it's been told and predicts what you're thinking. Is not making anything new. And we're here to create. We're here to grow and get bigger. Correct?
We are. So there's several good points, and a couple of them I'll talk about in a little bit, if I can.
I'll let you take the floor.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And so it is.
sometimes I'm not real strict with giving up time segments, and that it's on me. But that was good. Thank you for that testimony. It was obviously honest and a little bit vulnerable, I would say, based on a past experience. And so, yeah, why do you suppose that that little voice of the heart is so hard to hear? It's something we touch on from time to time. The little voice that is your highest self, what they often call the still small voice, that is the voice of truth. It's the voice inside. It's the voice that has always been there. It is the truth that you were born with, created with, have always been, and will always be. So it's a pretty powerful thing, you know? That's pretty special, to be the voice of all truth, and yet it's quiet. And the reason for that is truth has no fight. When you are truth, there is nothing out there that can compete with you. You say, what about lies? You know, what holds up a lie? The only thing that holds up a lie is the energy we continuously give it, because it's not based in truth. It has no authority on its own. But truth has always been, it's always been the same, and it always will be the same. And you might say, Reverend D, well, truth looks a lot different now than it did, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 1,000,000 years ago. And I would say, yeah, the perception of it has changed quite a bit. So what changes is not the truth, but our realization of it, our understanding of it. Our understanding of it has evolved over time and brought us to where we are right here and now, which is that place that we can be conscious of who we are and what we are and how we serve, and that has not always been the case. It used to be for thousands of years that somebody would tell us who we are, what we are, and what we're supposed to be doing. And that it was not all bad. I'm not down on other forms of faith and other religions. I know that all of us had to start somewhere. But I'm looking at this idea of doubt, and I have doubts myself when I come in here. And we have had that. I had doubts when we went into COVID, but we went online and we went through COVID just fine. It's after COVID, I guess, when it was no longer hard. Things started to be harder. And thank goodness we still have that online presence that on a day like today is the backbone of the community. But I wonder what I'm supposed to be doing, Am I doing what I was supposed to be doing? I have doubts. And I've had doubts before. I've been here, about 10 years now. And we've had good times and a couple of bad times. And I always have to, when we go through those bad times, that's when I sit down and I try to vision and I meditate and I ask the questions. Is this a sign? I would love to have signs. Yes, this is a sign. Get the hell out of there, Or this is a sign. Do it this way next time. But nope, never get the sign. I've never once questioned the calling into ministry. It was so clear to me And the way it happened was so obvious to me that I knew this is where I was supposed to be. I didn't know I was going to be in Cincinnati, but I got here, and I'm fine here, and I know there's a need here. We're the only center for spiritual living in Cincinnati, in the whole area. And what I've come to believe, I get dinged every once in a while because I don't have a clear vision of what we as a community are out doing. And it is true. I've never had a big vision of we're supposed to go out and do a certain thing, you know. We're supposed to go out into this neighborhood and feed the poor. We're supposed to go out and evangelize over here. And we're supposed to print out materials so we make sure that everybody knows something about us over here. And we're supposed to be a social media presence and, you know, all these different things that we could do and put our focus on. And that was never clear to me except that what we're supposed to do is our mission that we have now to embody and teach spiritual principle. And by embody, I mean learn. Learn what these spiritual principles are that are based in the truth and how we interpret them and how other people interpret them and seeing what it is that resonates with each one of us. And then support each other in our own individualized paths of this thing called spirit, and build up a vibrant community that is ready. Ready. Because I know there's going to come a time when there will be a huge need for a community that is ready to support people who may have never been in a religious community. I mean, we know that's about where we're at now in this country, is that a lot of people have never been to that thing called church. They don't have a spiritual practice. They have never been told that one's necessary. They don't feel that calling from within. Perhaps their lives are a little loud, and they don't hear their own, still small voice. But what we know as we live a little longer than some people, what I've seen is that there are times when something happens which is so universal, which touches every life on the planet, or every life in this country. And it's a jolt, and it makes people wonder, and it makes people think, and it makes people look for an answer, realizing that they've never looked for an answer before. Some people they've grown up in their own spiritual communities, and I'm certain that they will turn to those communities again, and those communities will welcome them with open arms and be that bridge, be that family again. But some people have never had that. And they'll be looking for something that doesn't have perhaps a lot of dogma, that doesn't tell anyone what God looks like, doesn't tell anyone what God wants them to do with their lives, just because that's not how we work. We know that everyone is at choice, and everybody is at individual choice, and everybody has their own path. If it was a religion, we'd have, how many millions of people live here? I forget. I can never remember how many millions of people live in the United States, but it's a bunch. Is it like 350 million or? Okay. So if everybody has an individual path, there could be that many religions, really. 350 million different religions. Because it's important that it speak to you personally. We believe that God is personal to everyone who feels that indwelling presence, right? Otherwise, God isn't very personal. What we know about God is God just loves everything, everyone. God is the definition of unconditional love. And what unconditional love means is there are no conditions. It's just love. We also know that God is infinitely intelligent, wise, and forever giving of itself to itself, because that's all there is. There's God as creator, God as creation, God everywhere present, and everything that is present serves everything that's present. It's a beautiful system. But that's that God that is always giving and giving and giving. We know it's about love, and it's about peace, and it's about joy, and it's about prosperity. And what happens when you're at war? What happens when there is widespread disease? What happens when the stock market crashes? When your bank is closed? When credit cards don't work? When Amazon stops delivering? And your foundation is lacking. And I know that it is important. I know that that's how I want to serve. I want to be that community where anybody can come and be supported in that knowing that, first of all, you are loved and you are loved. Let's get that right out there. Because that's the truth as we know it. You are loved and you are loved. And God is personal to you as you come to realize it, as you come to have that relationship with it. And I can't tell you how to do that, but I can show you a bunch of different principles. I can show you a bunch of different beliefs. I can suggest that you try one or two. Try every single one. Find out what resonates with you. We know. That's what we've been learning this year, that everything is vibrating. Everything is moving in the entire universe. There is nothing standing still. And everything vibrates with a frequency. And every frequency resonates with the same of that frequency, right? We know this. And so, if we can raise our consciousness just a little bit to a little higher frequency, knowing that that frequency lives in each and every person because it has to. And when my vibration stimulates another's, suddenly they know something they did not know before. They know a feeling, an expression. They know that something is pulling, that something is allowing, that something says, you know what, you could raise your consciousness too. Come along. Because what we want is eventually that vision of a world that works for everyone. And we know that that is possible. Not only is it possible, but it has to be. It is the eventual outcome of this thing called life. That everything is moving and evolving into that experience of being more of what it is. And what it is the thing itself. And someday we'll all be there. And when we are there, we will be experiencing that heaven. And we don't have to go anywhere to do it. It's present everywhere. And it's present right here at the center of our being. And so I am simply recommitting to all of you for another year to to follow where I am led, and to honor our mission and our vision, and to be ready. And for everybody that would like to be ready with me, I think it's going to be a really good time. And I know we talk a lot about a shift happening in the world where, consciousness is changing rapidly, maybe making a leap, a leap in consciousness. And it'll be towards these ideas that are more liberal, that are more fast-moving, that are more accepting, that are more loving, that are more in alignment and attunement with what we know this thing called God must be. And so, that's my promise to you. I will do it until I hear a call that is loud enough from that still small voice to say, all right, it's done, let's move on. And it is my joy to do that. So, if you will with me, let's go inside ourselves for just a moment. Find that still small voice. Find that place at the center of our being. Finding that which is, in fact, perfection that has never been spoiled. Perfect love that has never been hurt. Absolute harmony. Self-knowingness. All those beautiful traits we did not even realize we had when we were born because they were simply who we were. And who we would be right now if some idea had not intervened. Some idea in the past that somebody else in the past agreed with. Something we call separation. We are such brilliant beings. Then even when something cannot possibly ever be true, we can pretend and pretend and pretend. And we have at our means, our disposal, means that allow us to manipulate, and out of separation came the idea of fear. And what we know is when something is created out of fear, it creates more fear. It's the only thing it can create. Just as anything created out of love creates more love, because that's what it is, and it creates out of itself. So generation after generation after generation, after millennia, and a history. A history of fear that we have so solidly latched onto, that we agree with, that we justify. We should be afraid. The still small voice inside says, be not afraid. Be not afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. In truth. So if that is the truth of our existence, then I refuse to do that spiritual bypass and say everything is good. You know? There's that part of me that knows everything is good. Can't be any other way. But I'm here for a reason. I came into this form to experience something. Perhaps it was fear, perhaps it was disease, perhaps it was wealth, perhaps it was suffering, perhaps it was astounding relationships and creativity. Whatever it was, whatever it is, the truth is right there. The truth has never changed. The truth will never change. And the beautiful thing about the truth is it remains pure because the truth cannot hold a lie. For that I say thank you, Mother, Father, God within, without, and everywhere present, and so it is. Hey, Andy, you got one of those songs where God is present, I suppose?
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
I do. Yes, this one will be familiar to all of us, I think. This is Amazing Grace.
I have heard that one.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come till His grace has brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Yes, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and mortal life shall cease,
I shall possess within the veil a life of joy and peace. A life of joy, joy and peace. A life of joy and peace. Thank you.
I have heard that one. I have not heard that one. So thank you very much. That was beautiful. It is, hey, Lori, how's your ankle? Nancy, what's, Vicky, I'm sorry. Vicky, how's your ankle?
It's doing okay. It has maybe a little arthritis.
All right. Yeah, Lori's ankle's bad, so yeah, we won't, no. No, I'm sorry. Stand up and wave to everybody on the camera, if you would, please, so they can remember who you are. And that's a great...
There's two of them.
And as long as you're up, would you mind terribly passing out the baskets? All right. They are back there in the corner, and Eric can, well, Eric has them. I should have Eric come up and pass the baskets, huh? And it is time for, our time for giving and receiving is one, and we start out by declaring so. So if you will with me repeat our declaration of gratitude. It is with a sense of gratitude that I operate in the flow of giving and receiving as one. Knowing the source of infinite good is my source through me right here and now. I'm sorry. You know what? I've heard from people online that they don't have enough time to go through all the ways to give and to give on a Sunday morning. So we're going to figure out a way that we can start part of this earlier so they have a chance to catch up. What do you think? Okay. Very good. And then we take this time to be in gratitude and to know that there is truly only one source for all that there is, all that the good I receive, the good that we receive, the flow of good that moves in and through our lives and the lives of this community, Center for Spiritual Living of Greater Cincinnati, all from the same source, showing up in an infinitely diverse number of ways. It's the way Spirit works, and for that I am grateful, and for knowing in faith that the flow is infinite. And I do affirm that anything that would stand in the way of our flow is simply not founded in truth, and so we release it and allow it to fall away. This is the truth. This is the way it works. This is what we know. We allow it to be, and so it is. Thank you. Oh, and let's see if there's any important announcements before we go home today.
Yes, there is.
All right.
Next week, next Saturday is summer cleanup. We will be working on doing some cleanup with the carpets and maybe some painting, and we need all the help we can get. Also, there is prayer support. Members of the prayer team are available on Sunday mornings. Plus, they are available whenever you could need them by calling the center at 513-218-2128, or getting a hold of Reverend D or any one of the staff. They can point you to the right direction. Make sure that you join us, online if you can't join us in person. We are located on Facebook at facebook.com/CSLGC, youtube.com/@CSLCincy, or on our website at CSLGC.org. Excuse me. Come rent our building. We are available for weddings, receptions, anything that you can really think of, really. We also will offer staff services as well if you need some live streaming for whatever service you have going on, or, if you need the reverend to, do anything, we are here to help. Contact the center at 513-218-2128, or get a hold of us on cslgc.org for more information. Mondays is Book Crew. We are still reading the Book of Love and Creation by Paul Selig, a channel text. You can reach us on Zoom, and all are welcome. It's a very relaxed group. We just, take our time with it. It's a lot of information, and it's very impactful, and I believe everyone will enjoy it. If there are any suggestions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to bring them to Reverend D, Practitioner Dale, or any one of our staff, or you can reach us directly at the center, 513-218-2128, or cslgc218@gmail.com, or you can also email us at info@cslgc.org. And finally, Appreciating Relationships Dialogue every Wednesday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Reverend D hosts Sunday or hosts on Wednesdays, just doing a recap on what we went over on Sundays. And, if you have any questions about the center or Science of Mind or anything like that, he's there to answer any questions that you have. And that'll do it.
All right. Well, there's no question too big, too small, and I have been known to not answer a couple, but I will let you know if I don't know the answer. And got a call from Leah today. She will be back Saturday to help with, it's spring cleanup, not summer. We do not clean up in the summer. It is just a late spring cleanup. And she will be here and help us do some cleaning, and then help us with a smudging ritual after we're done. And I think that is probably it. So let's sing out if we would.
All right. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. Put my faith to the test. Live life fully expressed. Yes, yes, yes. I expect to be blessed. 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 Put my faith to the test. Live life fully expressed. Yes, yes, yes. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed. I expect to be blessed.